Then the Tathagata at that time pronounced these verses. While seeking supreme enlightenment, I gave my body for many eons. Just as I became king or prince, so I completely gave my body. As I recall my past rebirths, once there was a king called Mahabharata, who had a greatly generous son called Mahasattva, the Sublime. And Mahasattva had two brothers, Mahapranada and Mahadeva by name. These brothers ventured into a thick forest and saw there a tigress tortured by hunger. Agonizing was Mahasattva's compassion for this being. So famished is this tigress with her hunger and thirst, she will surely eat her own cubs. Thus I shall offer my body to her. Mahasattva, the son of Maharatha, saw the famished tigress and her cubs. With compassionate thought to save them, he fell down the mountain slope. The earth with its mountains shook, scattering various flocks of birds and terrifying herds of deer, and this world remained shrouded in darkness. Mahapranada and Mahadeva, his two brothers, looked for him in the great forest. Failing to find Mahasattva, they mindlessly ran about. Overcome by grief, their hearts filled with pain, they wandered about the forest, tears streamed down their face as they searched for their bodies. Mahapranada and Mahadeva, the two young princes, came close to the spot where the weak tigress lay. They saw the tigress and her cub, their tiger mouths covered with blood. On the ground were a few drops of his blood. Some bones and some hair were scattered about. When they beheld the earth stained with blood, their minds of the princes were ruined without thought. The two princes swooned and fell to the ground, their bodies covered with dust and dirt. Their entourage of attendants, too, cried lamentations and were overcome with grief, swiftly sprinkling water upon them. With arms upraised, they wept. The beloved queen, the mother who bore him, sat in ease in the palace, accompanied by 500 women. The moment he fell, milk streamed from her breast and immediately turned to blood. Her body and limbs were racked by sharp pain, as if they were pierced by pins. Deeply distressed, she was pierced by arrows of sorrow, her heart flooded with grief. She approached the king, wretched. Weeping before the king, she said to King Maharatha, "Listen to me, King, Lord of humans. My body burns with the fire of grief. Milk flowing from the tips of my breasts immediately oozed as blood. My body stings as if pierced by needles. My heart is next to bursting. Such are the signs. I shall not see my son again. Such is the fate of my children. Be compassionate. Give me my life." Today in my dream I saw 3 young doves. One dove, my youngest son, sweet and kind, was snatched by a hawk in that place. The sorrow of such dreams has entered my heart. My mind is scorched by distress. Such is the fate of my son. Before long I shall succumb to grief. O compassionate one, give me my life. Having spoken, the chief queen fainted and fell on the ground. Her mind was senseless, deprived of memory, and her thoughts failed. Upon seeing the sublime queen fainted and fallen on the ground, the whole crowd in the palace, too, wept and wailed in pitiful voices. At once the Lord King was overcome by the loss of his son. His ministers and attendants, too, set out in search of the princes. People all over that city came out of their various homes, crying, and with tears flowing, they asked after Mahasattva. Is he alive or dead? Where has Mahasattva gone? Today we will glimpse at one who is beloved and pleasing to see. Suddenly the silent wind of grief, fierce and without noise, blew throughout the region, yet due to limitless magic there was a sharp sound. Then King Maharatha rose up. Oppressed with grief and crying, he sprinkled water upon his queen, who had fainted and fallen to the ground. Regaining her senses, the queen arose, her mind forlorn. She asked, "Are my sons dead, or do they live. Then King Maharaja said to the chief queen, "The ministers and the attendants too have gone in search for the princes. Do not be downcast in mind. Do not be sorrowful in heart." In this way, having comforted the queen, King Maharaja came out of that royal palace, surrounded by a host of ministers. He was crying, weak in mind, feeble in body, and overcome by grief. Many hundreds of beings, too, cried with tears falling. They ran out of that excellent city in search for the young princes. Seeing the king emerge from the palace, thus they followed after him. The moment the king left the city to look for his beloved son, he gazed with staring eyes in every direction. He saw a man coming his way, his head shaven, his limbs smeared with blood, his clothes covered with dust. His face was sodden with tears. A fierce grief took hold of King Maharaja's heart. His face covered with tears, he wept, standing with arms upraised, he lamented. Then a certain minister came quickly and swiftly from afar. Coming close to King Maharaja, the Lord of Men, he spoke. "O Lord of Men, do not be sad. Your charming sons are alive. Before long in your presence you will see your beloved son." The king continued upon his way, and then a second minister came to him, clad in dusty and sodden clothes. In a tearful voice he said to the king, "O great king, two of your sons are alive, scorched by the fire of grief. O king, your third son is missing. Mahasapa is captured by impermanence." He saw a starving tigress who had given birth shortly before and was near to eating her cubs. For them young Mahasapa, his heart filled with compassion, proclaimed enlightenment's great resolve. "All beings I shall set free in future times. May I realize the great enlightenments I so keenly seek." Then Mahasapa jumped down that steep slope. The famished tigress stood up, quickly making his body without flesh. She left the prince with just a few bones. And upon hearing these dreadful words, his mind was shattered. King Maharaja fainted and fell to the ground, the fire of his grief blazing without relent. His ministers and attendants, too, wept wretchedly, overcome by sorrow. They sprinkled water upon him and lamented with arms upraised. Then the third minister said to the king, "Today I have seen both princes in the great forest laying on the ground. They have fainted, their minds were broken. We profusely sprinkled water upon them until they were revived and rose up once more. Ablaze, they looked in four directions. Standing briefly, they fell again to the ground. They lamented wretchedly in pitiful voices. With arms uplifted, they sang their brother's praise." The king's mind ebbed extremely low and was distraught at having lost his son. In unbearable grief, he cried lamentations. Then his thoughts entered his mind of the king. "My son, Mahasapa, beloved and charming, has been captured by impermanence. The life of my other two sons could now be lost in the fire of grief. Therefore I shall quickly proceed there to see those sons who are pleasing to behold. On swift mounts to the royal court, one of the royal palace, I will quickly bring my sons. If not, the heart of the mother who bore them was likely to burst from scorching fire of grief. Upon seeing her two sons, she will find peace, and therefore her life will not be lost." The king, escorted by a host of ministers, mounted his elephant, went to see his two sons. Crying in wretched, painful voices, the two princes came on their way, calling out their brother's name. The king wept in anguish. He took his two sons, and returned home. Quickly, like one in great haste, he presented her sons to the queen. The Tathagata Shakyamuni was formerly Mahasapa, son of King Maharaja, who made the tigress well. Shuddha